Let's go to LeetCode 2140, solving questions with Brainpower. And for this question, it gives us an 2D array questions, and for every element it is an integer array. And for this integer array, have two elements. The first integer it is the point. And the second element is Brainpower. That means if you, for each question, you have two choices to solve it or skip it. If you solve it, then you will use this kind of Brainpower, this kind of number. For example, if you solve the first question 3, then you use 2 Brainpower. That means you have to skip the next Brainpower numbers questions. So for example, if you solve the 3, you use Brainpower 2, so you cannot solve this 2, right? So it asks what's the maximum point you can earn. So for this kind of example, for example, if you solve this, you cannot solve this too. Then you can solve this, right? And for the 5, you use 5 Brainpower. Of course, there is no 5 element after that, but you can sum the first one and the fourth one, get a point 5. But if you skip the first one, then you can solve this one, and then skip 3, right? And you cannot solve the next 2, so the point will be 4, right? So if you skip these 2, same thing as you can solve this and then skip the next 4. The point is 4, and then you have another choice that skip this 3, right? And get only 2 points. So we try to see the maximal points you earn. The thing is that it is hard for us to do like the forward direction. Is that because we solve a question, right? We'll skip the next 2. Then for example, we try to see this one is solved, then we'll skip this 2, right? So then we get the maximum point is for this one under solved condition and under unsolved condition, right? So then we go to the second one, and we'll iterate every previous one, trying to see which one will not reach this kind of point, and find a previous position, and find the maximal solved and unsolved, right? And add this one. But in doing this way, it will be OA squared times complexity, and obviously it's not that good. But for this question, we are trying to get the max point. So we know for each question QI, we have 2 choices. One is solve, another is skip. So if we skip this question I, right? For example, we skip this 4, right? So the max point we get will be actually we're trying to get the max point, right? So previously what we're thinking about is adding the max point from the forward direction, but actually what we are trying to find is the optimal solutions. That how can we get a maximum point? So if we skip this question, the maximum point we get will be max point of solved or unsolved the next question, right? Max. So we so we have the current solved skipped point. If current skipped, it will be max dpi skip, right? Well, max is dpi plus 1 skip and solve, right? So because we skipped this one, next one, we have the options to solve or skip. Then current one, the skipped way, the maximal point will be max next skip and solve. But if we solve current question, right? So we'll have to find the maximal current I plus the Brainpower plus 1. Find the index he can solve, right? And for this one, the maximal point. So that will also be the dp skip and forward, right? So we just trying to, we can add the points in a reversed direction, right? So in that case, we can calculate and just use one for loop, right? So it will be O(n) time complexity. So let's begin to write code for this question. Let's have the int n equals questions about the length. And we have n questions, right? So we are going to have, so we can have this. The dimensional dp equals new int n 2, right? So we'll have like dp, it is long, okay, long. So we'll say dp I 0. What it means, we skip index I questions the max points, and dp I 1 will be we solve index I question, not question, okay, the max point. Okay. So we know dp I minus 1 0, right? We skip, we didn't solve the last one, then it will be 0, right? And dp n minus 1 that it will be questions n minus 1, the first one, right? So this is its point. So we iterate for int I equals n minus 2, right? I greater equal to 0 and minus. So we know dp I 0 will be so we skip current one. It will be for the next one we can solve it or unsolve it. So we'll have max dp I plus 1 0 and dp I plus 1 right? So this is if we skip current one, right? And also we have if we solve current one, the max point we can get. If we solve it, it will be dpi plus and so we can skip we have to skip this one, right? Skip questions. I one, right? We have to skip these kind of numbers. So we will have this one plus one. But it maybe if we solve it, it may be out of blank here, right? And plus current questions I there, okay. But we need to think about this one maybe out of blank. So we can write something like this. In next equals I plus questions I 1 plus 1, right? So if next is smaller than n dpi 1 plus equal to dp next. But this one can also have two options, that is solved or unsolved. Next step next. If it's unsolved, that's 0, right? If it is solved, next 1. And in the end, we just return next dot max dp 0 0 skip, right? And dp 0 1. This will be long. This will be ON time complexity in the ON space complexity, right? Because this next it's dynamic. We cannot use something like a rolling array to get to subtract those kind of space. We cannot save space, so space will also be ON.